StormTracker meteorologist Anthony Carpino. Thanks for joining me here on YouTube and Facebook Live. We're going to go through the forecast for this afternoon and through tonight and answer some of your questions. So I have my phone here in front of me. I have Facebook pulled up. If you guys have questions, be sure to put those in the comments section, and I'll do my best to answer those for you. So I want to start with the headlines. So as we go through the next couple of hours, we are going to notice, well, the rain's going to continue to pick back up, and that could actually be heavy at times. Wind will also start to increase as we head through this afternoon and going through this evening especially, and that could lead to some coastal flooding problems, especially in southwestern Connecticut, but really the entire shoreline having that potential for at least some minor flooding. And then as we go through tonight, those temperatures are actually going to start to cool back down into the 30s, and not going to rule out some scattered snow showers for tomorrow morning, especially in the northwestern hills. And then we start to clear everything out by Friday and Saturday. Going to be a little bit drier, gray skies still, but that sun will slowly start to return for us. So that is going to be definitely needed, especially after all the wet conditions that we've had the last couple of days. So let's take a look at radar as we head through the next couple of hours here. Let me pull that up for you guys real quick. Give me 1 second here. Sometimes the computer likes to work, sometimes it doesn't. There we go. All right, let's take a look at live radar here. Starting to see those showers push into the state. We have noticed that those heavier showers now starting to get into the New Haven area just a little bit there. And notice the last few hours too, we had some cool areas still left over in the northwestern hills. So stretching from Colebrook and north of Torrington, Salisbury, that general area, seeing the chance at least at some of that mixed precip. Then as you follow I-91 north through central Mass and then into Vermont, well, they're talking about snowfall. They actually could see a good bit of snowfall as we head through tonight. There's that closer look from Bridgeport to New Haven, seeing some of those scattered showers out there. So light to moderate will be the name of the game over the next couple of hours. And we are expecting that rain to pick up a little bit more in intensity as we get closer to about dinner time. So here's 6 o'clock. Notice some of those heavier showers starting to work their way into southwestern Connecticut. And then that will continue to fill in for us as we head through the overnight period, as we get closer to about 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight. And then things will continue to be on and off for us by tomorrow morning. That's also when those temperatures are expected to cool. And then we're not going to rule out that some spots end up getting a few scattered snow showers. Take a look at this. By Thursday morning, we do see in northern Connecticut there the chance for some scattered showers left over. And that will be very similar as this all kind of wraps up and pulls to the northeast. So right now, what we're talking about as we go through the next several hours, what we're really going to focus on is going to be that rain as well as that wind. Already we've seen sustained winds, 17 miles per hour, Willimantic, about 28 in Bridgeport. Really noticing the shoreline is going to be the breeziest spot in the state as we head through this afternoon and this evening. And talking about the gusts right now, actually just shy of about 40 miles per hour in Bridgeport, 35 mile per hour gust reported in New Haven. These are current, not the highest that we've seen so far. I actually did see Bridgeport close to about 41 not too long ago. So we're really starting to work up those winds. Southeastern Connecticut, 33 mile per hour report in Groton, as well as about a 37 mile per hour report in Stonington. So you see the highest so far have been along the shoreline, and those are going to continue to increase for us as we head through tonight. So what we have right now as far as alerts, a wind advisory posted for the entire state. Central inland areas of Connecticut, there are 35 to 45 mile per hour gusts as we head through this evening and tomorrow morning. Definitely not going to be ruled out, but we'll notice the highest of those gusts more than likely for the Connecticut shoreline. That's actually where we have a high wind warning, and that's where we could see winds gusting 50, maybe even up to 55 miles per hour going through tonight, as well as going through portions of tomorrow. And I'm going through some of these comments right now too. So looks like some of you guys have seen either some sleet or possibly some hail. More than likely seeing some sleet, especially if you are in northern Connecticut there. Wouldn't be surprised if you saw that. We have a lot of cold air that's not too far away from the ground. And so that is definitely a possibility. But with that heavier rain that we're expecting later on tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually heard a couple rumbles of thunder here or there before everything starts to clear out as we head through, at least through tomorrow morning. So as far as wind gusts go by region, I wanted to break this down for you guys too. For the hill towns, both the northwestern and going into eastern Connecticut, seeing winds gusting between about 30, 35, maybe even up to 40 miles per hour. This inland here, this is for the Hartford area. So winds in the Connecticut Valley, maybe just a little bit less, gusting between about 20 to 25 miles per hour. And again, noticing the shoreline, especially the shoreline, seeing the highest of those winds gusting to 50, maybe even 55 later on this evening. You see the timing here on the top part. So as we get closer to 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock tonight, that's when we can expect the highest of those winds really gusting. For any of the communities along the shoreline, especially in southwestern Connecticut that have those east-facing beaches, that's where we're expecting the biggest wave action and, of course, the highest risk for flooding as we head through this evening here. So let's talk about temperatures right now really quick. Already, we're into the 30s in some spots. Colebrook, Torrington, New Milford, 37 degrees. It's 38 in Tolland. Everyone else still hanging on to the low 40s. And here we are at 2 o'clock, and this is all we're going to do today. This is the warmest we're going to get. And it's going to feel, well, even cooler when you factor in that wind. In fact, already it feels like 36 in Hartford. It feels like 34 in Chester, Groton, New London, New Haven coming in feeling like 37. That's thanks to those very gusty conditions along the shore. Feels like the 20s, though, in Torrington, just shy of that in North Canaan, feeling like 30 degrees. And as we head through this evening with those winds expected to increase, well, it's only going to feel cooler as we go through tonight. You can see this. Look at this. By tomorrow morning, depending on how strong those winds are, some spots could be feeling like the low 20s and maybe even some teens out there for sure. Joy, yes, I'm cold. Yes, it is chilly out there. It's never fun when you get 30s and low 40s and it's raining and it's windy. It never feels good when you're stepping outside, right? So make sure you're grabbing the jacket. You're going to need that for sure. Maybe have a sweater and then the windbreaker on top of that. You're going to need everything heading out the door tonight. And then we are going to notice that wind shift as we get through the day on Friday. Those winds will be affecting the shoreline especially, so let's talk about that really quick. We do have that coastal flood warning for southwestern Connecticut. This goes from all of coastal areas of New Haven County and Fairfield County as well. So places like Bridgeport, Fairfield, going through Milford, going through New Haven, and then pushing back closer to the Middlesex County line there. That's where we're seeing the greatest risk for flooding. But I don't want to forget southeastern Connecticut. You still have that coastal flood watch in effect for Middlesex, as well as all of New London County, again, right there along the shoreline. Let's talk about a couple of those water levels as we head through tonight. This is for the Bridgeport area. As we head through this evening, we're going to have the first high tide, and that could push the Bridgeport Harbor there to minor to possibly even moderate flood stage. As the tide starts to go out by early tomorrow morning, we're going to dip back below minor flood stage, and then it shoots right back up as we head through the second part of tomorrow morning. They're just after 6 a.m. for the high tide tomorrow morning, and that could crest just below 11 feet. 11.2, I believe, is the major flood stage for the Bridgeport area. So high water expected as you're going out the door tonight. By 7, 8 o'clock there, it dips back down and then right back up by early tomorrow morning. Fortunately, as that wind direction changes tomorrow afternoon, that will help keep the tides and the water there just a little bit lower. You can see they're trying to get back to that normal fluctuation between high and low tide as we head through tomorrow night and then going through Friday and the upcoming weekend. I think by Friday, everything should return to normal there along the Sound. Let's go to New London here. This is what we can expect to. As we head through this evening, the first high tide, not quite as high as what we are expecting in southwestern Connecticut, just getting maybe to minor flood stage. That dips back down, and then by tomorrow morning, even in New London, having that potential to just make it to moderate flood stage, cresting close to about 6.5 feet early Thursday morning, again, right around 6, 7 o'clock when high tide will occur. And then as that wind direction again shifts, well, everything will start to go back down. So that is definitely some good news there. Any snow for Fairfield County tomorrow? I'll get to the snow, guys, in a second. Hold on. That is a possibility as we head through, tonight into tomorrow. The risk for some scattered snow showers. We'll talk more about who in just a second. When does the wind go back down? That's a great question. So I think the highest winds, let me see if I can go back here a couple frames. So the highest winds as we go through the next few hours will be later tonight by dinner time. It'll still be breezy for us by tomorrow, but the winds will slowly start to improve. Here we go. So by 9 o'clock tonight, still dealing with those pretty gusty conditions out there. And I think it'll stay pretty breezy all the way through midnight, maybe in the early morning hours of tomorrow. It's tomorrow morning where I think we're really going to start to improve for us. So I hope that answers your questions. We need spring. Yes, we definitely need spring, but we will talk about some warmer temperatures by next week. In fact, next week is going to seem completely different than what we're experiencing now. Temperatures only into the 40s. Ugh, that's gross, right? We're going to make it back to the 60s for next week. Let's get through this evening first. I'll talk a little bit more about what we can expect. This I wanted to show you. This is the excessive rainfall outlook. So just highlighting the greatest flooding concerns here. So on top of the coastal flooding threat, we're getting between about 1 inch, 2 inches of rainfall. And it's just been we're coming out of a very wet month of March, the second wettest on record for the Hartford area, and the all-time wettest March for the Bridgeport area. So it really doesn't take that much water to cause some minor issues there. So for areas along coastal Connecticut, that's what we're going to be watching the most. But as you work your way closer to Hartford there, we do have that level 1 risk for some minor flooding. That's going to be those usual trouble spots that flood pretty much every time it rains. So just keep an eye on those drains, make sure they're all cleared, and I think we'll be in pretty good shape. We could see the Connecticut River actually rise into action stage. So that's just below minor flooding from Hartford and Point South. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. But this isn't going to be what we saw, back in the wintertime, all those crazy floods there. Nothing like that at all. And we'll slowly start to see those rivers go back down as we head through the upcoming weekend. So that is some good news there. This is a look at how much more rainfall we could see as we head through tonight, all the way through about Friday here. Again, another 1 to possibly up to 2 inches of rainfall. So that could cause some minor flooding in the usual trouble spots there. So we'll keep a close eye on that one. This gets to the snow question here as we head through this evening. Still seeing some pockets of sleet in northern Connecticut there, especially in those cooler spots. So eastern Connecticut, northern sections of Tolland County, like places Union, Stafford, Somers, those areas. And then as you push into northern sections of Windham County, maybe seeing some pockets of sleet as well. Then as we go through the early morning hours, we start to cool things down just a little bit. So if you're in places along the shoreline, I know I had that question about snow chances for the shoreline. I do think that is very, very slim. In fact, I think a good majority of Fairfield, New London counties, especially along the shoreline there, will be just a cold rain, unfortunately. If you're a fan of winter, it's unfortunate. If you're not a fan of winter, you're loving it there. But it could be worse. We could be in Vermont, New Hampshire right now, where some of the forecast models want over 1 foot of snow in April. Pretty wild stuff. But I do think we see some scattered snow showers waking up tomorrow morning on and off for sections of Litchfield County, possibly even sections of Hartford County in those higher elevations, right along the Avon Mountain Strip there. And then as we continue on through eastern Connecticut, those higher elevations again, Stafford, going through Union, Somers, that general area, Crystal Lake, seeing a few of those pockets of some cooler temperatures, which could mean some scattered snow showers as well. And this could linger on and off as we head through Thursday, but in general, we are going to notice some clearing, which is some good news there. All right, let's take a look at the snowfall map as we head through tonight. A coating to 1 inch, I think for most of the spots that end up seeing the flakes, this is what you're going to expect. Nothing you're going to have to shovel, nothing like that. This is mainly just going to be on those grassy surfaces there. So the soft surfaces, coating to about 1 inch. This is for pretty much all of Litchfield County, going through northern sections of Hartford, Tolland, Windham County. Any kind of actual accumulation will be in the highest of those elevations. So that is the northwest corner. That's Salisbury. That's going through North Canaan, going up through Colebrook, Winchester, that general area, having potential for 1 to 3 inches. Not a widespread issue. What I think you're going to notice most across the state is going to be those winds tonight. And of course, that rain. We're all going to have to go outside and deal with that rain. But again, we could end up seeing just a little bit of snow. I do think in the mountains, as you go into central western Mass, they could actually end up seeing maybe 3 up to 6 inches of snowfall. But for us, most spots seeing just a coating, possibly to 1 inch. And then those highest elevations, again, about 1 to possibly 3 inches. If you're in the northwest corner, you know who you are. You know that you always get maybe a little bit more than everybody else. So, you guys have more questions? Yeah, if you guys want to read those back to me. Oh, okay, cool. Kevin asks, let's see, did the groundhog lie to us? Well, that's why we don't always go with the groundhog, right? But let me get past this. Let's go to the 10-day really quick, and we will start to notice some improvements here. So yes, today we'll update these icons here in a second, but noticing 40s again tomorrow, and then we will start to work our way back to the 50s for this upcoming weekend. Again, I know these graphics are off here. Monday is the solar eclipse, and look at those temperatures. 62 degrees is what we're expecting. The Yard Goats home opener is on Tuesday, 65 degrees. And then we're going to stay in the mid-60s for Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to be in good shape for next week. We've got to get through the next couple of days. Now, there is a chance that some of those scattered showers that I mentioned could linger on and off Friday, Saturday, but it's not going to be a big deal there. We'll notice some clouds for Saturday, a mix of clouds and sunshine on Sunday. And I do think we're actually going to be in pretty good shape for the total, technically it's the total solar eclipse, but we're only going to see part of it here in Connecticut. Let me see if I missed anybody's questions. So Mike, that answers your question there. Any chance of getting into the mid 60s next week? Absolutely, starting on Monday. And I wouldn't be surprised, if even the shoreline, we're going with mid upper 50s here. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple spots got close to 60 for Monday. Shoreline looking mostly sunny right now for the eclipse. I think we're going to have a pretty good shot at seeing the eclipse here in Connecticut. And even if you're making plans to go into northern New England, usually spring, April time in northern New England, that's usually just straight cloud cover. But I actually think if you're planning to go to Vermont, if you're planning to go to upstate New York, I think you'll be in good shape. I actually think we're going to see a good bit of sunshine. Remember, as the eclipse continues and as it becomes closer to totality, it actually will, of course, block the sun. The sun is the heat source for a lot of those clouds, and we actually end up losing what little bit of cloud cover we have. So if you're out and about Monday afternoon, if you say, oh, no, there's all these clouds, what are we going to do? Pay attention to those clouds. You'll actually notice them start to fizzle out as we go through the afternoon, as the sun starts to get blocked by the sun. So just something interesting to keep an eye on. You'll also notice those temperatures will start to decrease just a little bit. Monday is going to be fantastic. We do have to get through tonight as well as tomorrow. Again, the big headlines here are going to be the wind as we head through this evening, especially for the shoreline. We're expecting another 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, but all of this will wrap up by tomorrow afternoon. Pretty much completely, the wind's dying down by tomorrow afternoon into Friday, and then we're in good shape as we move into the upcoming weekend. Hey, we're going to have a lot more updates for you as we head through this evening starting at 4 o'clock. Myself, Chief Meteorologist Ryan Hanrahan, and Meteorologist Rochelle J. We are here. We are keeping an eye on things, and we will keep you guys posted with any updates as we head through this evening on the current weather situation. But again, get through the next few days. 60s, guys. 60s are in store for us as we head through next week. That's going to do it for me here on Facebook Live and YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks so much for all of your questions. We appreciate it. And we'll have more updates on online as well as on air later on this evening. Have a great day, everybody.